Welcome back. Big spending Kevin Rudd. We'll get to him in a moment, but let's bring in my panel. Shadow Environment Minister Jonathan Duniam, Liberal MP from South Australia, James Stephens. Gents, welcome. Let's start with this claim from the Human Rights Commission today that the celebration of Harmony Day in our schools, quote, hides the long-standing systemic racial discrimination that some people have experienced in Australia. The watchdog says we need to rename the festivities on the 21st of March to call it now International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. James Stephens, this says to me, by calling it something that the UN wants us to call it, where we declare we have racial discrimination, we make it absolutely clear that's where Australia's at, that's about what divides us. Harmony Day is about bringing people together. That's about what unites us. And I think the message to young people who aren't born racist is that let's stay together, let's be together, let's have a Harmony Day, as opposed to try and tell a 5 or 6-year-old that they are inherently evil, that they are inherently racist. I wouldn't change it.
Well, totally agree, Peter. It's just absolutely ridiculous. We're the most tolerant, harmonious nation on the planet, and we should be proud of that. But these black armband view of history types, of course, don't like to acknowledge that. And I'm sick of people trying to make us ashamed of our country, because I'm actually proud of our country, proud of our history, proud of what we achieved, proud of where we are and where we're going. And this is an example of just trying to make young kids, in this case, it's quite perverse, make them somehow ashamed to be Australians, and they should be proud to be Australians.
Let's go to a related sort of issue, if I can. The Sydney Morning Herald's reported that a backer of the Muslim vote movement attended a rally in Jordan back in December, which celebrated the founding of Hamas. This is Asala Soraya, keynote speaker at the launch of the Muslim vote movement, which is seeking to unseat Labor MPs in Western Sydney. Here, Jono, I don't notice much from the Human Rights Commission. I think this is more about division than bringing Australia together.
Well, we must be tolerant and inclusive of those who are different, who sound different, who may even look different. But when it comes to uniting our country in a safe way, protecting us from those who seek to do harm, well, that's someone else's job. I mean, it is nuts to not take issue with what this journalist has uncovered, and I understand it from the same reporting that indeed this particular individual was part of the organising of the rally on the Opera House steps. If this doesn't concern people, if this doesn't spell out that we have massive issues in our society because we turn a blind eye to people in the name of inclusion and tolerance, then there is something very, very wrong. So I do take issue with this. Anyone who wants to support a political movement, go for gold, you know, give it all you've got, but do not associate yourself with any way celebrating listed terrorist organisations or the people that back them in, or indeed pursuing other groups in our community, like the Jewish community, through protests like we've seen in this country.
James, you are really going through Kevin Rudd's chequebook, and I'm shocked at what you found. I thought this one must have been some sort of, 1 month early April Fool's Day joke, because you have uncovered the fact that he commissioned the ambassador a $45,000 musical piece to celebrate the opening of the new embassy.
Peter, it's remarkable what Kevin Rudd's doing with our money over there in Washington. I suppose not a surprise for those that know him well, but this is the latest revelation of Kevin Rudd focusing on enjoying himself, celebrating himself, making it all about Kevin, of course, as everything is when it comes to Mr Rudd. But his job is to be Australia's ambassador to the United States, and there's some pretty big and important things for him to be focused on. It seems in the lead up to the election last year, he was commissioning the Ode to Kevin at his celebratory anniversary party of the party held a year earlier to open the embassy. Of course, he's also written a book, although it's on the President of China. Despite him being Australia's ambassador to the United States, he's focused a lot of time on, of course, the sales tour for that. But we're worried about tariffs, we're worried about AUKUS, there's a lot to be focused on. But of course, Kevin, while he's focusing on himself, is not focusing on the interests of Australians.
I'm waiting for Kevin 07 the musical or Kevin the dancing ambassador. There'll be something else that comes because he can't help himself. You're not wrong there. He's got an ego that would rival most politicians around the world. Let's go to the campaign because, yes, the PM hasn't called it, John O'Danian, but it's absolutely underway. And the pork barreling's here as well. Revelations today that 2 out of 3 of these urgent Medicare clinics delivered under the government, well, they're in Labor-held seats. They've promised an additional 50 over the weekend. About half of those will also be in Labor seats. And the poor old coalition, you're going to get, what, about a third all up of these new clinics. What do you make of this?
Well, I love seeing Labor politicians decry pork barrelling under the previous government, but then with a straight face tell us that this was all a proper sound decision-making process. I'd love to see the paperwork behind this or whatever colour-coded spreadsheet they may have used. The 1 in 3 of these urgent care clinics that doesn't happen to fall into a Labor seat, Peter, I suspect is in a seat they're targeting, a coalition-held seat that they want to try and snavel off us if they've got the gumption to be able to do so. So there is no process here. It is all about that one thing they are really all about, and that is the politics, cynical politics, and the fact that they say it's not pork barrelling is just frankly laughable.
Well, I think the tip is he's going to call it on the weekend on Sunday after the WA election. I think he'll try and get on the stage. He'll stand there with Roger Cook and he'll head to the Governor-General after that. I'll leave it there, gents. Thanks for your time.